so I didn't forget, because we can do that on Buffer. You can schedule socialing to happen at given times. That's actually quite handy. I just never bothered to use it. I have some very exciting news to share. I cleaned out my Google Drive, and now there's only like 2 things when I open up my drive, and then there's
That's
just folders,
awesome.
right? Isn't it amazing? I feel so much better about my entire life.
My drive is so disgusting right now.
I hate Google Drive because it makes the individual file and folder management. So just please give me my typical file structure so I can.
Yeah.
Something about it just doesn't feel right. Like it's designed for touch, but in a way that I don't think anybody uses. It's very strange.
Okay, so I just realized I should probably remove Le Pro 3 review because that was written by.
It was a Lenovo 3.
And you can add the Fab 2 Pro, and if you want, the ZenWatch 3, depending on how much time we have.
Yeah. I thought we already did both of those.
We've already talked about both of them.
Did we? Did we talk about the... When did we talk about
we did the Fab? If you would look at the spreadsheet for the 17th, you can see that the Fab Pro is on there. As
well, yeah, we
ZenWatch
added...
3.
Oh, I guess we did do the ZenWatch. Well, we talked about the Fab Pro, I guess, before the review, but I guess we don't have to do it.
I think we'll have plenty of meat with the 3T. It's a meaty device.
Meaty.
Super meaty. I don't know. I'm not actually sure what that means.
I don't know, but I totally just realized that I never checked to see if there was...
I thought you were going to say replace the item in the list just with the word meat.
Meat. Yeah, so... Okay. I'm just going to check real quick if there's something in the mail variety we need to get added on here.
There was voicemail.
On my part.
Was it not good? Was it a bad voicemail?
I don't know.
There was a voicemail. There might have been 2. And for those of you viewing, we're just getting started. I scheduled the social post to go live at 5:30 exactly, assuming we might be ready by 5:30, but that was a bad assumption on my part. Why does this phone make so much noise?
There are 2 voicemails, and I have not listened to them, so this is going to be like roulette.
I thought so. I thought there might be multiple voicemails. No, I don't want that. I want D&D. Is there not? Okay, whatever.
We only have 1 voicemail because they were both from the same person. And one was
got cut off.
Yes.
I always wonder how that happens. Like, did they just lose signal, or?
It seems to happen a lot.
It does. I don't quite get that. Do people like start to leave it and then decide they don't like that one anymore and then hang up and do another one? Maybe that's what it is. Because can you, like, say you're satisfied with your voicemail and Google voicemail and delete it and do another one? I don't think you can.
On a completely unrelated topic, I'm still using the live case. And it's been like 3 weeks, several weeks.
Mine's cracking at 2 edges now.
Oh no.
I would like to point out that I just received my Caseology Parallax case, which makes it look like I bought the blue phone when I didn't.
Wow.
And I love it.
I wish I bought the blue phone.
Yeah, we all have big blue regrets.
I debated it for so long. And then I ordered the black one.
So I have to relaunch Google Chrome, so I'll be right back.
Okay.
And I'll note that the black one is not even actually black, it's gray.
It is. It is definitively gray.
It is it is carbon.
Why would you call it quite black? When it is not.
It's not quite black. It's in fact quite not black.
Not quite black.
Well, it didn't fix Hangouts Toolbox. Sorry, guys.
Well, Matt,
Nobody's going to know who I am.
I know. All right, let me restart the recording here, and we can get started. Okay, we do not have an ad roll this week, so we are good to go.
No ad roll.
Oh, I should sticky the post. I always forget to sticky the post. Okay.
Whew.
Wow, that sounded like a welcome false start. Like it started, it just fizzled out. Woo. Just didn't quite get there.
Okay, we ready?
Yeah.
I was about to ask.
Oh wow, your audio is gone completely. Like your microphone got unplugged. It says you're muted. No, I still can't hear you. So I think your microphone went kaput. Nope. Nothing.
That was strange timing.
Yes, it was. It was a really weird timing. Maybe go to your settings. Is the microphone selected in settings in Hangout? Nothing. Maybe leave the Hangout and rejoin, I guess. That's probably...
You can also try opening it in Safari.
Safari for Windows.
Yeah.
You should go to like an archive shareware site.
There was a site called like Old Version or something
I remember
that
that.
let you download old versions of things.
Yeah, Matt, you should probably just rejoin. Getting nothing.
I'm not. You know, I guess in a way, APK Mirror is kind of like Old Version.
No, Liam, they can't know. Secret.
All right, am I coming through now?
Yes, very quietly.
Very
though.
quiet. Now silent.
Really?
I'm actually talking pretty quietly, so that could be part of it.
You sound far away from the microphone. That's what you sound like. The quality of your voice is high.
Can we just have Matt at this volume the whole show?
How about now?
Like he's whispering from another room.
Like really slightly louder. What's the gain at on the Yeti? Is it like messed with? Is it over the middle? Is it under the middle?
It is.
Are you on butt mode?
Over.
Oh, are you on butts?
I am on butts.
Okay, it
Yay.
sounds slightly louder when you were like literally on top of the microphone.
Is it getting louder as I'm talking right now? Is it getting louder at all?
Yes, slightly.
Okay.
Maybe your Windows microphone line in is set too low, which would be under the recording devices and properties and levels. Can't tell if Matt's frozen or just really still. Pretty sure he's frozen.
Yeah, I was watching for Blink and it
Yeah.
didn't happen.
Oh wait, he's unfrozen.
What an adventure.
It was. This is actually the show, everyone. This is what we do for 45 minutes. We just troubleshoot
We do. That's what we do.
fruitlessly.
Well, I mean, that is that sort of is the way Hangouts works.
It is the mystery of Hangouts.
The microphone level is 100.
Okay. Well, that's real weird.
It sounds like 32.
Yeah. 32 does seem like a pretty. It seems like a good number.
Okay, so does anybody remember which way the
Oh, you're getting louder.
That's better.
Ah, there we
getting
go.
louder
I think
now?
your Hangout is catching up.
More
Just
of
keep
that.
talking.
Keep talking now. How about now? Is it getting good?
Yeah, I think we're goodish.
We're goodish.
There you go. I think Hangouts need a moment to catch its breath.
Okay, so we're good now?
I think so. Let me go ahead and start the recording. Okay.
David? Never mind.
Wait, you don't want that recorded? What were you going to say, Liam?
I was going to ask if I could make you an Outrun style shirt, if you would wear it regardless of what it says.
Absolutely.
Okay. I have lots of ideas.
Hey, we're live now. I'm just now getting around to loading the chat. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. We've been live the whole time.
Yeah. Well, it only just now did it tell me that. So.
Oh, well, asshole YouTube. Let me go ahead and open the chat too, because I hadn't done that. I'm sorry, chat.
Sorry, chat. All right, I think I'm ready, guys. I think I'm ready.
Not to be confused with I'm sorry, Chad. I'm
Wait,
not sorry.
no, actually,
no sorrow for Chad.
I'm not ready yet. Now I'm ready.
Okay. I think we are good to go.
All right. No pre-roll?
No, but I can restart the recording again because why not?
That's probably a good idea.
Okay.
Welcome to the Android Police Podcast, your weekly audio source for all things Android. It is Thursday, December 1st, 2016. I'm your host, Matthew Smith.
I'm David Reddick.
I'm Liam Spradlin.
I'm Ryan Whitwam.
All right, so we are getting close to the end of the year. There's a best of 2016 series coming to the website soon. Is there a listener or user or reader's selection coming in that, David?
We're gonna do a reader's selection of some kind. I haven't figured out what that's gonna be yet. It's probably gonna be for phone pick, maybe picks. Maybe it can be like a top 3 sort of thing. I don't know. We'll look into it. I don't know if we're doing things to the podcast.
I predict Pixel. That's
wow,
my prediction.
It's a bold prediction.
It is a bold prediction.
Super bold.
It is not a unlikely candidate. So that's coming. Voting should be opening as soon as we figure out what the categories are going to be, I would think.
Yes, so there will only probably be like one user-based category. Otherwise, we're all internally picking them. We've already picked internally our smartphone of the year, and then we're having more general lists so a couple of them are going to be top smartphones in general. There's no specific number of phones in any category. Top mid-range phones, which is anything under $500, over $250, and then top budget phones, which is anything under $250, and there might be some other categories like just for like cool accessories or things you can use with your phone and stuff. So yeah, those will be coming up probably starting the week of the 12th.
So we're not going to do ZenWatch of the year.
Yeah, we're not going to do ZenWatch of the year. The Android Wear field would be quite thin indeed.
I mean, was there anything else that even came out in 2016 other than
yeah, there was the Nixon and the Marshall,
the fossil watch.
Oh, right.
and the canceled Urbane 2nd Gen that actually ended up coming out. That technically came out in 2016 as well. So yeah, there was stuff, but Android Wear 2.0 is not out, and like, why would she buy an Android Wear device?
Speaking of, do we have the Motorola thing anywhere in the spreadsheet?
We don't, but let's talk about it now.
Yeah, why not? Since
That's a great transition, Ryan. Good job.
Rode that segue right into a story.
Yeah.
Which is better than off a cliff.
So I guess Android Wear is still technically a thing right now, but maybe it won't be for much longer.
Yeah. So Motorola said they're having this thing going on right now. I don't know what it is. Like, they invited some journalists and like, we're Motorola, this is what we do. We're in Chicago. We're fancy. And then apparently some people asked, so hey, you gonna keep doing those smartwatches? And they're like, nah.
Yeah, and pay no attention to the row after row of empty desks because Lenovo fired everybody.
Yeah. So it sounds like they were, they didn't say like we're never doing a smartwatch again. They said we think the wrist still has value,
which is the phrase I love.
I love that. Yeah, the wrist has value. Actually, that's going to be the title of our episode. The wrist has value.
Okay.
But they basically said that they're done with Android Wear, done with smartwatches for the time.
They said that they don't have any in development right now, which means at least for the next year there probably wouldn't be one. I mean, you can't just like conjure up a smartwatch in 2 months.
And the reason, surprise, doesn't seem to be much of a market for them.
Yeah.
Turns out people don't buy those very much. Huh.
I think what kind of happened is that everybody who was going to buy a smartwatch just went ahead and did it.
Yeah.
And there's not really any compelling reason to upgrade.
Yeah.
And there's not really any compelling reason for somebody who doesn't already have one to get one.
I feel like smartwatches are a category we were forced into by analysts, which I've said before, but I feel like the big companies like coming out with smartwatches basically said, hey, everybody, look at your wrist. Something can go there. And everybody was like, oh my God, I do have a wrist. So they bought some people bought smartwatches, but then the rest were like, I don't really want to pay for that. And they bought Fitbits. And that's pretty much what I think happened.
It's like we're all living in an RPG and we have an empty inventory slot on our wrists. And we're like, well, I guess this watch will go there.
+1 to charging.
Yeah. Now I've said this before, but I still strongly believe that Google is trying to do too much with Wear, and that is one of the main reasons it hasn't caught on. Because nobody needs to run apps on their wrist. It just doesn't need to happen ever.
But then I also kind of get the feeling that they realized that too much is going on with it, and like so Android Wear 2.0 is like in this limbo.
I mean, but like the dev previews still have all of this junk. They still have a keyboard.
I mean, I think Apple made that mistake with the first Apple Watch too, to be honest.
I like to think that Android Wear 2.0 was on hiatus while they try to figure out how they can remove the keyboard functionality without anybody noticing.
You know what? The people who will notice will be insufferable and would complain no matter what they did.
Yes.
I feel like the keyboard is a very good shark jumping point. That's where things went like, okay, you asked people what they wanted, and it turns out what they wanted was kind of stupid. But you gave it to them, but then nobody else suddenly became excited about smartwatches. Nobody's like, oh, I've just been waiting for a keyboard. I'm going to go buy one tomorrow.
It kind of reminds me of OnTap too, right? Because it was like this thing that promised to be really awesome, and then it turned out to not be so awesome in practice. And then like they just started adding stuff to it to get like they started adding more functions that made decreasing amounts of sense.
Yes.
Yeah, OnTap is it's like completely dead now. Like it doesn't even exist on the Fab 2 Pro. Like literally if you try to launch OnTap, it's just like, actually, did you want Google Now? Oh, by the way, we don't call it that anymore.
Yeah, OnTap's like that part of the zoo where it's like insects and other creatures.
Other creatures.
Yeah. It's like stuff, we have some things in here. They're very exciting. Some stuff for you. And so on a less elegant segue, Fitbit is buying Pebble apparently, which I don't think is in the spreadsheet. So I thought I would bring that up for $40 million. Our
spreadsheet game is not.
Which is only $160 million less than they planned on. Or
it's nothing. Just taking a little off the top.
Yes.
Yeah. I think Pebble, they had the pieces in place to make good stuff, but all of their watches are real ugly.
I still kind of like the Pebble Time Round in a like it's ugly, but a unashamedly ugly way.
It's like fun ugly.
Exactly. It's definitely fun ugly.
Fun ugly. Let's shorten fun ugly to one word. We'll just call it fugly.
Would e-ink consume less battery than the like time displays that Fitbit currently uses?
I don't know. I mean,
Because I feel like those are probably
Maybe?
pretty low
I mean,
power
it's.
too.
I mean,
I
it's.
thought
I
they
guess
used e-ink.
that's like color e-ink, or it's something like that.
Oh,
I mean, it has a
yeah.
higher refresh rate, I guess, than most e-paper type displays. So I assume
Yeah.
this is somewhat more.
Let's be honest. Nobody's not buying a Pebble Time because of how much or how long the battery life
True.
is. Because seriously, there's literally nothing that compares.
You remember? No, I'm just saying. Like, could they improve Fitbit's battery life even though it's already good?
Oh,
so
I gotcha.
well, Fitbit has what's their not a smartwatch?
I saw one on the train today, but I don't know what it's called.
Oh, it's not
Blaze.
the Blaze. Yeah, it's the Blaze. Okay,
Pretty
which,
thick.
yeah, smart fitness watch.
They
Oh,
have the
God.
I think they have the Charge HR, which also is kind of a watch, but it looks just like a Fitbit that just happens to tell you the time.
Yeah, wow, that's real ugly. I'm sure Fitbit and Pebble are going to get along extraordinarily. Yeah. So that the Fitbit Blaze makes me kind of wonder. Like, this looks like a smartwatch, but like, uglier. It has heart rate and GPS and stuff. The GPS being the big thing for the fitness segment, and then heart rate, I guess. But like, this is stuff you can put in a smartwatch. Like, you can do that.
It's almost like Fitbit is taking the opposite approach to everyone else, and like slowly adding a few things here and there, but not. Instead of coming at it from the opposite angle, which is like, let's add everything we can think of and more.
Yeah.
And then realize it was a terrible mistake.
Yeah. Oh, okay, sorry. Fitbit Blaze does not have GPS, as Scott points out. It has connected GPS, which is what they put on the spec page, which is dumb because there's no such thing as connected GPS. It just means it uses your phone's GPS. You can't have connected GPS. You use the phone's GPS. That's silly.
Disconnected GPS.
The Surge has GPS, but the Surge is like a black and white, like super blocky LCD screen or LED, whatever.
Just let's be clear. What connected GPS means is that there's a companion app that asks for location permissions.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it means.
Anyway, so yeah, Fitbit is buying Pebble probably because they want Pebble's industrial design and maybe some of their IP for like APIs and stuff. Maybe, I don't know. But it was for $40 million.
Maybe they were figuring out a way that they could put bigger bezels on their devices.
Yes, advance the bezels. I'm surprised Google didn't buy them.
Yes. All right. So speaking of Google, we do have some code Googly stuff. Daydream View headsets are now available in snow and crimson, which snow is not yellow, as I checked out on the website. Snow is not yellow. So there's a white and a red version that are available for pre-order, shipping on December 8th. I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but now that those are available for pre-order, do you know if people who are receiving their free codes are able to get those colors? Or
I assume if they waited.
I didn't wait.
I know one of my coworkers actually got his code like 2 days ago, and he pre-ordered the gray one. But if he just waited 2 days, he probably could have.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Who doesn't want the red one?
I really want the red one.
I want the red one.
Who cares about the white one? Nobody cares about the white one.
Also, can I just say, huge missed opportunity on the names Crimson and Snow. Like, you had a good thing going with the pixels.
Yeah.
You blew it, Google.
Oh, well. Can we have a crimson pixel,
really
by
red?
the way? I would like a crimson pixel.
That would be very nice. What color would the front be? Would it be black or white?
Ooh.
Hopefully black.
Yeah, I guess black. But I mean, honestly, I would just like the whole thing to be red, but you know.
I wish they would have released a pixel in each of the Google colors.
Oh, but the green and the yellow, they would sell 0 of because nobody would.
I don't know.
They could price those ones $50 cheaper. They would sell.
Samsung had a green S7, right?
Yeah, that they didn't sell in the US because they knew they wouldn't sell it.
Yeah, well, you know what, David?
They never bring out the cool colors in the US. I'm always kind of miffed about it because, like, yeah, I would take in the green one. I want the green one.
Yeah.
Right, so the yellow phone? I don't think a yellow phone's going. I don't think I was going to go for that.
Well, I guess it would just be gold at that point. And the glass gold would probably not look that great.
Wasn't there like a leak of a yellow Nexus 5 or something a couple of years ago that they ended up never releasing?
It was 800% fake. It was not real at all.
It was more fake than possible.
Didn't we actually like post a picture that I made that was like a photoshopped like 4 other colors that didn't exist?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I feel like we did.
I don't recall.
Oh, well, but at the same time, though, that red one leaked before it came out, and that was
I also thought that was fake.
Yeah,
but
and
it
that was
wasn't.
totally real.
Good times.
So, David, you want to tell us about your flight experience with Daydream View?
Oh, I guess.
One where everybody looked at you weird and you didn't know because you couldn't see them.
Did I not talk about this on the podcast like a week and a half ago?
Did you?
I don't know.
Wasn't our podcast a week ago?
But we didn't do.
There was not a podcast.
2
A
weeks
week ago
ago.
was Thanksgiving. We did not do a show on
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
2 weeks ago. Whatever.
So no, you didn't talk about it a week and a half ago.
Okay, maybe I talked about it 2 weeks ago. A week and 6 days. All right. I don't remember if I did. God, I feel like I did, but just in case I didn't, yeah, I took Daydream View on a plane. I had a second phone with me because Google gave me a second phone to test the Daydream View. It was a good thing I had it because Daydream View sucks down a lot of battery. I watched one movie and the battery went from 90 to 30 in a 2.5 hour movie, which means you can watch, 1 2.5 hour movie or maybe like 2 2-hour movies on the Daydream View.
But David, you can just plug the phone in, like get a battery pack, and then you just like duct tape the battery like to the front.
So
of the
I
View.
feel like I asked somebody. Yes, I talked to somebody about this, and I was like, I didn't want to plug it in. And some commenter's like, yeah, I tried to plug it in, and you immediately get overheat messages. It's like not even. There's just no. It immediately it's like, nope, not doing that anymore.
Yeah, the Pixel gets painfully hot after it's been in the Daydream View.
I cannot imagine it charging while it was because it was warm. It gets like I feel like this is probably not great for the battery recharge cycle life. But whatever. And so I did that. I had issues pairing the remote because like the way it tells you that the battery is low is really, really, really not clear because it's just a white LED. So when the battery's low, the white LED turns on and then it flickers out. But then like if you press the button again, it pulses for like 30 seconds, which if I see the light pulsing for 30 seconds, that doesn't mean it's dead. That just, means like if the pairing's not working, something's like messing up. So I figured out later on after I plugged it into a USB outlet in the seat in front of me that, the battery was actually low. And then I watched my movie and then the battery on the phone I was using was low. And so then I stopped using it because I had charged the battery on the phone. And that was most of it. That was my experience. Yeah.
So one thing that I haven't really figured out, but admittedly I haven't really tried because honestly the answer to this is not as compelling to me as the fact that I'm asking it might lead you to think. If you disable NFC, do you have to disable NFC if you want to use it like a cardboard device? Or is it not possible to use it as a cardboard device?
So, okay, good question. It's not possible to use it. Oh, you mean the Daydream View or the phone?
Yes.
Oh,
Well, you can just launch the Daydream app because like the Moto Z,
yeah,
even though it has NFC, it doesn't know when it's in the headset. Like when you just set it in there, you have to actually open the app.
yeah. So, okay, yeah, I'm not. So, like if you want to use it, like you'd want to use like the Daydream View app with a cardboard viewer.
No, if you just wanted to use the viewer for a cardboard app.
Oh, no, you can't do that because it doesn't have a button.
What doesn't have a button?
The Daydream View headset.
Yeah. Because cardboard viewers all have the single button.
Yeah, they have to have the advanced button. Because they all have that little thing where you press down, like the cardboard, like on your temple right here. Because that's how you confirm. It's your affirmative button. The Daydream View doesn't have that. I would not be surprised if somebody hacks it so that if you pair the Bluetooth remote, eventually you could use that as the affirmative button in the cardboard app, but it doesn't work like that right now. I've tried because I was like, oh, couldn't you do this? And no, you can't do that. Like you run through the whole cardboard tutorial and you can't advance anything. It just sits there and you can't do anything. So yeah. I found that weird. I was kind of surprised myself.
See, I don't recall ever using a button on a cardboard viewer that I've had.
It's not really a button. It's a flap.
Yeah.
You press on the flap.
Yeah,
and
I've
that's how you
never.
select
I
stuff.
mean, they all have it, right? I think they have
Yeah,
to.
they do. Yeah, they have to have it because it's how you select stuff.
And sometimes it's like a little magnet thing on the edge or whatever.
Yeah, there's something. There's always something.
It's always something.
Always.
All right, so moving on to more Android Auto-y related news. So apparently the NHTSA, which stands for something regarding traffic safety.
It does. That would actually be the SRTS, but I don't think that exists.
The SRTS?
Something regarding traffic safety.
Oh, fair enough. New Hampshire Traffic Safety Association. That's the NHTSA.
That is the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, I believe.
There we go.
So they released this new set of guidelines. So we call them guidelines, but it's kind of like the opposite of Pirates of the Caribbean, where the guidelines are rules, because everybody follows them, because everybody doesn't want to end up in a situation where they have a liability issue because they didn't follow the NHTSA guidelines. And Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are both modeled after the current NHTSA interface guidelines for in-vehicle interfaces. That makes sense. So they release an updated set of rules that are designed, basically the big thing that they want to do, it sounds like, they want to get to the point where your phone and your car work together such that your phone and your car hey, you can't use your phone in your car, you idiot. And then it doesn't let you use the phone in the car. That's kind of the gist of what they want to do.
I mean, okay, but that, then people are just going to not connect their phones to the car.
Yeah, and so they're talking about that too. So what if people don't connect the phone to the car? And so we need to have a backup that's I don't care if your phone's not connected to your car, you idiot. You still can't use it.
This is just not feasible. It's not.
It's so what they're talking about doing though. I mean, they're aware of the technologies. They're talking about, can we use Bluetooth? Can we use, can we use some kind of proximity sensor in the car to determine where the phone is in the vehicle? All this stuff's pretty pie in the sky. This is not coming to your next Ford Fiesta. But they are thinking about it. So it's I
mean, I feel like the issues they're seeing will gradually go away when more cars come with things like Android Auto, where people aren't futzing with their phones as much.
That's the hope, obviously. I mean, getting the issue is obviously, going to always be the cars that are older and don't have this, and where people are going to get distracted regardless. So
you pointed out that it'll go away when cars start coming with Android Auto. I would actually pose that adding Android Auto as a required software in Android going forward would actually do a lot, just because Android Auto has the ability to auto launch on a Bluetooth connection, and most cars that are sold now, even if they don't have Android Auto, have Bluetooth.
Yeah, so that's what they're talking about as well.
Yeah.
So they want, as soon as the car and the phone pair, it goes in the drive mode, and the drive mode can be disabled. That is that's actually the crux of the first thing they want to accomplish, I think, to make drive mode mandatory, essentially. But then you have to think about, well, what about passenger devices? What if the passenger is using the device that the driver has paired to the car? Can we tackle that? That's obviously harder. Because you get into stuff that's just, they're talking about, for example, you can do a cognitive load test, and where you have to solve a little puzzle to use the phone that would be nearly impossible for a driver to do without causing a horrible fiery crash, but that would be relatively easy for the passenger to do. That doesn't sound like anything could go horribly wrong.
Yeah, really.
Right?
That doesn't sound bad at all.
That's just a great way to make drivers think that they should do this puzzle while they're driving.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's my legitimate concern for this. So you have David, you probably won't understand this, but Ryan will. So you have remote start in your car. Your car's in your garage. You remote start your car. It turns on. The Bluetooth boots up, connects to your phone, and now you can't use your phone until you get in your car and drive out.
Well, I have a detached garage, so I'm not close enough to my car for that to happen. But I understand your concern.
mean, I imagine
cold
people.
weather stuff.
Wait! No!
Oh.
You probably do this in the summertime, David. You probably would remote start your car in the summertime because it's 110 degrees inside.
Yeah, my car doesn't have remote start.
Well, if it did, you would use it, wouldn't you?
No, probably not.
Fine.
I've used one with remote start. I understand the con. So I guess what you could do is with Bluetooth, you could, like, maybe you could look at, like, it doesn't lock out until the phone detects, like, that the vehicle's in motion, or if the car sends a signal to the phone saying the vehicle's in motion.
That'd be good.
And I mean, I think you could work around this in interesting ways. I think there are a lot of, practical hurdles they're going to have to be looked into, but
Okay, you know what? Like, if they make this a big enough pain in the butt, though, people are just gonna they're gonna use their old phone to do the car stuff and let it be in car mode, and then they're gonna have another phone that they just mess around with.
That would be a nightmare. But this is so the context for all this is why is this like a thing? Like, why is the NHTSA making a big deal out of it? Because, well, more of us are dying in crashes or whatever, and so the NHTSA is like, I should probably, look at that.
Something about that.
Yeah, I mean, so granted, most of the people dying are the people outside the cars. So the people not who are either using the phone, maybe they're crossing a street while they're using their phone, or they're getting hit by somebody who's using their phone in their car. The issue isn't in-car deaths so much as people, getting hit by cars by distracted drivers who hit people and objects. That's kind of the issue right now, because being in the car is a pretty safe place. Outside the car, not so much.
Yes, cars themselves are actually very safe now.
Yeah,
they're
actually even getting safer to be hit by. Just not that much safer.
I actually seem to recall there was an auto show in Japan like several years ago where they unveiled a soft car, and like if you got hit by it at like 30 miles an hour, you would be fine or something.
Okay, so I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but actually in like the mid-aughts, maybe late-aughts, Volvo unveiled the first car with airbags under the hood. So the airbags would deploy if you hit a pedestrian and soften the blow of being flung over the hood of a car. It's actually a pretty popular thing until they discovered that auto braking systems were a much more effective and cheaper way to kind of try to handle these situations. And then so the pedestrian airbag idea kind of died after that.
Pedestrian airbags.
Pedestrian airbags.
Well, so on the subject of Android Auto, so some folks with Android Auto are finding that OK Google has just shut up.
That is just
OK Google.
That phrase that we can't
phrase. Okay, G. So that phrase works. That phrase that we're not going to say anymore because reasons. It started working. I'm going to be honest with you. Like Android Auto to me has been virtually unusable up till now because that doesn't work.
Yeah, and it depends on the system that you have, because people whose cars came with it, they usually have a steering wheel button that can activate the voice command, so it wasn't that big of a deal. I have an aftermarket unit, so I actually have to reach all the way over to the screen every time I want to use it, so that's a pain in the butt. So this is starting to roll out. People started seeing it the other day when a new version of Android Auto rolled out, but there's probably also a component in the Google app. So if you have the newest of both of those, you might have this feature, but you still might not, because there's some sort of server-side thing, because that's just how Google rolls.
I will say that I have updated on. I actually run it on my phone in my car, and it doesn't work yet.
Well, a lot of people say that it does work, and some people say that it doesn't. And
see, what's funny is I don't use the Android Auto app in my car, but I do use the OK Google hot word because I'll just tell my phone to do stuff and like navigate somewhere. But I don't actually use the Android Auto.
You know what I've noticed annoyingly about Android Auto is if you plug a Pixel into Android Auto, the voice stuff immediately gets stupider because it doesn't do any of the assistant things.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, no, you're right. It does.
Yeah.
Like I have to, whenever I use it, I have to like repeat things over. Like the dictation for text messages, it's like it catches like a third of the words that you said, and you're like, you're so good at this normally. What's the matter with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, when it gets in a car, just somebody turns the dumb dial way up.
It's this is just the Android Auto team being just a little slow, little not good.
You know what? No, you know what that is? That is like the serious disconnect there is between how all of Assistant works on all of the different platforms that it's available on. So it works differently on the phone than it does on Google Home. It works different. It works differently in Allo than it does anywhere else. It's just
so speaking of Google Home, I asked Google today what I thought would be like a super easy question for Google. It's like a perfect Google question. When is the next full moon? Google Home can't do that. Like, it doesn't know. Just Google Home can tell you the weather, but it can't tell you like another basic like piece of almanac information. Like,
I'm just annoyed that I have my work schedule synced to my Google Calendar and it can't tell me when my next meeting is.
Yeah, there's so much that I get response like, I can't do that yet. And it's like, I don't believe you're ever going to be able to do it.
You know what is
You're
the
a
most
Google
annoying
product.
thing is like if you just change the phrasing ever so slightly, Assistant is just like, I don't know what you're talking about. But then the other way of saying something, it's like, no, that's not. I immediately know what's happening.
Yeah, like timers. Like, I've had that before where I ask how much time is left on a timer. And if I say it in a particularly wrong way, apparently, it's like, what are you talking about, you idiot? Like, I don't do that. Why would you think that?
Well, a good example is the Google Home subreddit. Somebody posted that you should ask your Google Home how many Earths can fit in the Milky Way galaxy. And for the record, you should. But I will say that if you
How long does it take to respond?
It doesn't take very long at all. It's pretty instant. But if you ask it how many Earths fit into the Milky Way without adding the word galaxy at the end, it gives you a different response, and it's not worth searching for.
It's like I've noticed. So I have Hue lights connected to Assistant in Google Home, and there are like very slight variations on the way you could like tell an Assistant to turn on the lights, and some of those ways it gets immediately. But like if you tell it like, okay, turn on office lights to whatever percent, it has no idea what's happening. But if you say set office lights to X%, no problem, immediately.
And this is the stuff that Google's supposed to be very good at.
Understanding and it is compared to everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's that's really telling about the state of things.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it does amaze me, the information you get. Like we're doing a video right now. We're going to ask Assistant and Alexa 50 different questions on Google Home and Amazon Echo. And one of the questions I came up with was, one of the questions we had was how many calories are in a Big Mac, which Google's really good at those. Because it's got the nutrition's part of the knowledge graph. Yeah, exactly. But I asked how many, which has more calories, a Whopper or a Big Mac, and it knew the answer to that. And I found that very impressive. It was able to draw the sources together.
That's like Wolfram Alpha kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And those pronoun clauses, don't forget about that.
Yes.
So usually, from my experience, when you do those types of questions, it'll start off its answer with according to, and then it will list
that
off.
That was an according to one. It was according to Business Insider, which is not my number one go-to nutritional data source. But apparently probably correct.
So what it does, and this really isn't all that surprising because Google Search does this. So you type in those types of questions, and it will give you a snippet from the first top result of where the answer is in text on Google Search, and it's just reading you that. It's all it's doing.
Yeah.
So.
But this one took two snippets from a single source and then put them together and made an answer, which I found fairly impressive.
Well, did it find specifically an article that addressed the question that you asked?
I don't know. I don't know what the article is about. So
what did you ask? I'm just gonna Google search it right now. So it's which has more calories, a
Whopper or a Big Mac?
It does have a snippet that has the answer in it.
Huh.
From Business Insider, it gives you a snippet saying the Big Mac has 550 calories and 29 grams of fat, while the Whopper has 630 calories and 35 grams of fat.
Huh. Well, still, And then I asked it when the first Gran Turismo came out, and it's like, what? It's like, I don't know. It's not like that's readily available in Wikipedia.
The article that the answer came from was titled "Difference Between Big Mac and Whopper" from Business Insider in 2000.
Thanks, Henry Blodgett.
It's good SEO.
Oh yeah, Business Insider's SEO is gross, and I don't care who knows it. Ugh. Worse than it's worse than International Business Times. Honestly, they are
really.
Lowest
I don't know. International Business
that's
Times.
a useful piece of information, but Business Insider has no business providing it. That is not their business.
That's true. Well, they're in the business of giving you the business.
They are. That should actually be their slogan. Actually shouldn't, though, because then I might find it funny, and there's nothing funny about Business Insider.
Yeah. All right, so moving on, Google in a bold statement of how they have no idea what they're doing, has decided that they are going to phase out the Google Cast name, which, by the way, has only existed for 6 months. For connected TVs and speakers, they're not going to be called Google Cast anymore.
I guess. Okay. I mean, I guess they
Chromecast enabled, right?
They realized that Chromecast is a brand that people know, and they don't.
I guess, yeah.
That's the thing you buy.
The whole reason they came with the Google Cast, I feel like, was to get away from the whole Chrome thing. Like, it's a browser. They can't.
Started getting too mainstream.
That was a very weird branding decision to start with.
Well, I mean, it made technical sense because it was in some vague way, like there are bits of Chrome. There are also bits of Android in there too, I think. So it's weird.
Yeah.
But the idea was, a cloudy, lightweight, media connection platform. And so it made vague sense.
They just released the new Chromecast that has the G logo on it. So
Google is a victim of its own success. They actually made a successful media streamer device, and people want to keep using the name.
Yeah, it's weird when something's successful and people start associating its name with what it is and does. People
You have to change it immediately.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably some effort at some point in Google, like, we have to change the name, and then it kept succeeding. Like, we can't change the name.
I don't doubt that.
So I would just like to point out the tweet from the official Google Chromecast account said, "From Google Cast to Chromecast, new name on Twitter, same device stream from and love." Like, anybody actually ever called it Google Cast?
I have several issues with this tweet. One, they didn't actually use the word "to." It's an arrow emoji.
It's an arrow, but
two,
they saved a character by doing that, and there's
also
characters
missing an Oxford comma. I'm not okay with that either.
Yes. Can we get a character count on that? Did they actually need to do those things?
So I believe Google Cast is still the name of the API.
That can't possibly be true. I refuse to believe that.
I think that's how things are going down.
I can't.
Well, not Google Cast. It's the Cast API.
Okay, but then, so what exactly is Chromecast then?
Chromecast is everything.
I just don't.
And nothing. It's so everything's Chromecast. So if you can cast to it, it's Chromecast or Chromecast enabled. Unless it's literally a Chromecast, then it's Chromecast enabled. That's the way to think of it.
But then for some reason there's still the Google Cast API.
Well, yeah, for casting, Ryan.
Well, it's the Cast API. It's the Cast API from Google.
Yes, Cast API by Google.
It's an API for creating solid structures for broken bones. Cast API.
I would like to point out the developer pages still call it Google Cast API. Just throwing that out there.
Okay, maybe it is Google Cast API. Either way, so we have Chromecast and Google Cast API, and that's.
I think the moral of the story, though, is Ryan, is don't get too attached to that name.
I guess.
Or any name, for that matter.
Yeah.
We're gonna rename Ryan. Ryan is gonna be something else now.
Yeah, I could just be Google Cast. That's fine. And then you can rename me. And then you can rename me Chromecast in a few months, and then change it back to Google Cast. Yeah, it's fine.
When I was in middle school, I wanted everybody to call me Paul for like a week.
That sounds like something a 13-year-old would do. I believe that.
Yeah, so maybe it's like that. Maybe Chromecast is in middle school. All right, so moving on to malware. God, does anybody actually want to talk about malware? Malware sucks.
It does.
Google's Gooligan. It's not Google's. I make it sound like Google released this. They didn't release it.
I mean, they kind of did release the vulnerability.
This malware will
allows it.
delight you.
It's okay. No, okay, but so look, it's malware, and that sucks. The good news is it only works on old versions of Android. It's Jelly Bean, KitKat, and Lollipop. So anything newer than that, you don't have to worry.
So only most Android phones are affected.
Only most Android phones that are downloading apps from sketchy Asian app stores. So don't do that, and you should be fine. So it's they're APKs that when you install them, they try to root your phone. They download exploits like Talroot, which has been patched forever. Even on phones that run those versions of Android, the root exploit that it needs might not work. So you download it, it roots your phone, and then it injects code into the Play Store to download apps in the background, and then to get advertising revenue for the malware authors. So that sucks. It's apparently over 1 million devices have been breached in the last, I think, 2 or 3 months. So it is a lot.
I wonder of those 1 million devices, how many of them are in countries that don't have Play Store access?
Well, there is a little graph here. 57% of the infected devices are from Asia. So I think a lot of those are China.
Yeah. Okay. And then Russia.
And yeah, Russia, which has Play Store access, but there are also a lot of like sketchy things.
Yes. Wow. Piracy in Russia? Oh,
who would have thought?
I don't believe that at all.
But yeah, so I mean, obviously, like this is not spreading, through official channels. So I mean, if you're downloading APKs from unverified sources, that is a risk that you take.
If you want safe APKs, go to apkmirror.com.
Yeah, that I've heard of that site. I hear that it's very good.
Yeah, it's pretty decent. I can recommend it.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to move on to rumors. So apparently, the rumor came out this week that Amazon is apparently working on a new version of Alexa. I guess Echo. I don't know. Speaking of naming conventions that I don't understand. So they're working on a new premium Alexa speaker with a 7-inch touchscreen instead of just putting Alexa on their tablets. They're gonna have a speaker with a 7-inch touchscreen that runs Alexa. I guess that's their way of one-upping Google Home. Maybe they feel like they had this market all to themselves. Google Home comes out, and now they got to do something to differentiate. I don't
know. Amazon was kind of first here, so I feel like they're leading the pack in a way.
I would agree with you on that.
But that sounds hilarious.
Yeah. Right? You know what? Okay. I will say that it does make sense to me in the way that, like, if you have like the super smart home with all of the connected things. Okay, so like if you're literally Artem, and you maybe you just want a central place to control all your smart stuff. Maybe an embedded touchscreen in a powerful speaker could maybe make some sense. That said, I think there are way more ways you could do this badly than you could do this well. I feel like there's so many, for every little like situation you could try to account for. I feel like there are just a million ways you could make this unusable and unfriendly.
I mean,
it sounds like a very hard thing to do.
Like,
right?
How often are you going to be near the thing with the touch screen? I mean, you wouldn't want to put a lot of important functions in that because then they're all inaccessible when you're across the room or in another room.
To me, this just seems like building hardware to do something a companion app should do.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say you could just put all of this in the app and not have to worry about buying, this extra thing.
And even if it's perfectly usable when it launches, it can quickly become unusable if this is something you're supposed to have for a while.
Yeah, I look at this and my guess is that their pitch here is going to be it's your the central hub for shopping and for controlling your smart home stuff. But like, people have phones, and it's if only you had the screen in your pocket at all times, that could maybe accomplish some of these tasks. I don't know. I can see why they want to do it, because Alexa and Echo have a real fan base at this point. It's a very successful product, and I think that they're probably seeing demand from like smart home power users who think they want this kind of, embedded control system in their home.
I might be crazy, but I feel like building Alexa and a good pair of speakers into a Fire tablet makes more sense.
Yeah, that would actually kind of make a lot of sense. I wonder why they don't do that.
I'm also just imagining the industrial design of this thing. Like, I'm picturing like a black lunchbox with a bunch of holes in it.
I'm just actually picturing the current Echo, but like the size of a normal trash can.
What was that that company a few years ago? They were making those little like bedside, like smart alarm clock things. It was like a little screen on a beanbag. I forget what they were called, but I feel like it's gonna be like that with a speaker on the back.
Yeah, I don't know who made that, but it sounds very offensive to me.
Screen bag.
God, I wish I could remember. They were just bizarre little devices. They only made like 2 of them, and I cannot for the life of me remember what they were called.
All right. So let's move on to a little bit of news from AT&T. So apparently AT&T and DirecTV have teamed up because they can do that because they're the same company now. DirecTV Now was announced this week. And if you are an AT&T mobile customer, you can stream all of that goodness for no GBs against your cap. Done.
So, okay. Let's talk about that, because that's a hot button issue here.
Yeah, so net neutrality who now?
So AT&T's response to that is essentially, no, but DirecTV pays us. You own them. It's your company.
So basically,
what do you mean they pay you?
We're taking the money out of our left pocket and putting it in our right pocket. Therefore,
and even if they were a different company, that doesn't really eliminate the concern.
I mean, actually, I feel like that more validates the concern, because that says that I, as a company, can pay a provider to get better service for my application versus somebody who can't afford to do that.
Well, AT&T already did that. They had that thing where companies could pay to give people free data.
I forget. Did they actually do that?
They launched it. I don't think anybody gave a shit. That's kind of the issue. Nobody's like, oh, I want to buy my customers free data. I don't think anybody is interested in decreasing their average revenue per user that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, but the whole idea that DirecTV pays AT&T for this unlimited data streaming on AT&T plans is ridiculous. Also, DirecTV Now doesn't seem very good. It seems like, hey, would you like to get DirecTV service, but with fewer choices and also counting against your home internet cap? Congratulations, we now have DirecTV Now. It's a new and exciting opportunity. I
keep forgetting that people have home internet caps, and that I will probably have one.
It's a new and exciting opportunity for TV channels you don't want.
I have one of those now. It just this month Comcast instituted it, and I am not happy.
What's the cap? Is it 300?
It is a terabyte.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not too bad. I've never used
terabyte. And yet I have hit 700 gigs. So
I think that's probably close to where I've maxed out.
And I'm not streaming 4K video. So if that ever happens, yeah, it's gonna be a problem.
Nope, but pirating a lot of 1080p. No denials. Yeah, but this DirecTV Now thing is so people compare it to PlayStation View or whatever. I mean,
or Sling.
Yeah, it seems like obviously it has the benefit of it's DirecTV, so they already have all the deals with the channels. That said, I don't see any advantage to signing up for this versus, say, DirecTV, maybe, in general, which actually they raised their prices as soon as DirecTV announced DirecTV Now. I don't know. It just doesn't seem that compelling. What consumers want and why people want these digital services is to take a much more a la carte approach to your channels. Right. Cable and satellite providers are very loath to do that, though, because a lot of very popular channels, the subscriptions to those subsidize their deals with less popular channels that help fill out the catalog. So, and then obviously TV networks want to fight tooth and nail against that because they don't want to get in the situation where, oh no, the market may actually demand or not demand particular television content. That would be terrible.
Yeah. I feel like Sling, when they came out with their we'll call them packages, they're kind of micro packages compared to what cable and satellite providers offer, but they kind of skirted that line where they were very close to giving you the a la carte, but not quite giving you a la carte. And then this just comes in and says, hey, we're like Sling, except we have more channels that you can't choose.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, wait, you don't want Esquire television? Who doesn't want Esquire television?
Who does want Esquire?
How many people know Esquire television exists?
I think I saw it on a DirecTV Now promo slick.
Probably. You sure you don't want A&E anymore? A&E anybody? Nobody? Nobody for the A&E?
History channel? I mean,
yeah, the History Channel.
Yeah. Actually want the History Channel anymore.
Why is it called the History Channel? Like, it's a part of history at this point. Maybe that's why.
Because it was historically good.
Yes, historically, the History Channel was about history. Man, we are getting so off topic.
All right, so we should move on. We got some product reviews. Actually, just one. I'm a liar. I said some. We got one. We got OnePlus 3T. That's why I was confused, because I thought we had OnePlus 3, which would be 4.
That was great. All of that was great.
Yeah. So OnePlus 3T review this week with Ryan. Ryan, take it away.
So if you are watching the video, one of these phones is the OnePlus 3T and one is the OnePlus 3. It's pretty much impossible to tell because they look exactly the same, except this one, which is the 3T, has a slightly darker finish than the other one. And otherwise, it is exactly the same on the outside. The only internal differences are the Snapdragon 821 instead of 820, a 3,400 milliamp hour battery instead of 3,000, and a 16 megapixel front-facing camera. Otherwise, exactly the same. The software is slightly different. It's got a few features that they tried out in the community builds recently, but it is still launching on Marshmallow. No Nougat yet. And I mean, look, it is slightly more expensive. It's $40 more, which OnePlus defends by saying that, look, they wanted to offer the best experience possible and they could do it with better hardware and blah, blah, blah. And frankly, I think they just wanted to make a little bit more money on each unit sold because, there are no Nexus phones this year. So they kind of own this like $400 pseudo flagship space now. And so, look, if you were going to buy a OnePlus 3 before they went out of stock, you should still probably get the 3T. It's still a very good phone. It is a slightly better phone than the OnePlus 3. And the extra $40 is like, whatever, I guess. It's still worth it at that price. There is a 128 gigabyte storage model now for another $40 on top of that. So if you just need a whole ton of storage and you don't mind paying almost $500 for this phone, go right ahead.
So in a world where Pixel phone exists, is there any reason that somebody should feel overly unjustified in paying $500 for this phone?
I mean, for a lot of people, I guess $480 is a much more attractive price than $650. I mean, I certainly understand why people would want to buy this phone.
Let's be clear. $480 is a more attractive price to everyone than $650.
Well, but I'm saying like there are a lot of people who are perfectly happy to pay $650 for a phone that they consider to be objectively better.
Well, right. 480 versus 650 is not, I mean, it would be a comparison against 480 versus 870. Right? Because
I mean, I guess if you're comparing the XL with the 3T. I mean, if you are at all sensitive to the pricing of a phone, and you are okay paying with it, all up front, then I mean, the 3T is probably the best, mid-range-ish flagship phone you can get. So I mean, it totally makes sense if somebody wants to buy that. You just have to wonder what's going to happen with the Nougat update. I mean, they said by the end of the year So I guess we'll find out if that is,
Yeah.
if that
I was
actually
reading
happens.
the beta release notes, and they're like, Android Pay might not work, and I'm like, that doesn't sound like something, like if you're a month away, it's like maybe no,
Yeah.
that doesn't make me, warm fuzzy feelings. But at the same time, like, so its competition is like the Axon 7 Enhanced. And in what universe would you recommend somebody get that phone over the 3T? You would never do that.
Yeah, I mean, I know there are people who like the Axon 7, and I mean, I assume that they are sensible people in other areas of their lives, but I did not like that phone. I don't know why anybody wants to use it.
Well, I mean, I think people liked it because, major spec beasting about compared to OnePlus 3, both the 3T and the $480 version. Like there's no more argument in that sense. So
yeah, I mean, the ZT just has they have a lot of issues with their software that they need to work out.
Yeah. I mean, I think, the 3T seem, I actually have one right now for posting purposes for the next couple of weeks. I've only used it for like 5 minutes. I don't know anything about it. I don't know. I still think the overall value equation seems to be really strong. I think it's not like the 3T made some kind of radical change that makes it so much better than the 3. Like if you have a OnePlus 3, there's no reason to be that.
It's such a marginal difference. I mean, I think probably the biggest impact will be that the battery life just gives you like a little bit more breathing room. Like with the OnePlus 3, there are days where I feel like it's a little too weak. I start to get a little concerned towards the end of the day. But the 3T, it's just it has that little extra bit that I think puts it over the top. Battery
that, or you were like really unsatisfied with your selfie quality. That would be
that
the
too.
reason.
Yeah, there's some selfies of me in the review if you want to go check those out.
Yeah. Sound like a ringing endorsement, Matt.
Yeah.
That's like, I don't know if I'm going to read this review anymore.
Yeah, I had the tab open in another tab, and
then it was closed.
So I'm just going to provide some anecdotal evidence. So I know somebody who had a Nexus 6 and they didn't want to buy a Pixel because they're too expensive, and they bought a OnePlus 3T. So they're totally stealing Nexus customers. That's what's happening.
Toad stealing. But he bought a Nexus 6. It was $650.
Well, if he bought it 4 months later, it was probably $400.
No, he totally bought it 4 months later.
Oh, okay.
Totally. So there's your evidence. That is totally what's happening. They are just stealing Pixel.
When somebody says totally more than one time in a sentence, I automatically think that they're being sarcastic.
I thought you were going to say they're from California.
Yep, totally. All right, so moving on, we've got some announcements from Nokia. Apparently, they are coming back into the smartphone market with a Android flagship lineup coming at that point in time. Apparently, they've been bought out by a new company that is just totally focused on making good products and not being Polaroid. Right?
Okay, so they released that Android tablet like a year and a half ago. Is this going to be like the same deal where it's got the Nokia name on it and they have no other involvement? Because I feel like that's what it's going to be.
Yeah. So it's a licensee deal. HMD Global Oi. So they're Finnish, and it's made up of people who worked at Nokia.
At Nokia previously, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess the question here for me is, regardless of what happened to the tablet, I heard the tablet actually was like okay, not great. But so my question is, how much money is being thrown at these guys just because of the name? And how much is being thrown at them because they actually have good ideas? The market's so radically different from when Nokia really left. And what they were doing when Nokia left was not that interesting. Aside from the peer view, Nokia was not doing anything that exciting anymore. So I don't understand what it is they intend to bring that nobody else has brought at this point. I sincerely doubt it's going to be, cutting edge specifications at an ultra low price.
My expectation is it's going to be visually pleasing.
I guess, yeah. I mean, no, don't get me wrong.
That's
Like,
going to be their market. Is they're going to
Nokia's
make
industrial
phones that look
design
nice.
is, super cool when it was at its peak, but
Yeah, but I mean, if these are just white label products from some anonymous
yeah.
Chinese,
How well is the software going to be managed? I mean, that's kind of the big thing with Android phones right now is like, who's managing software and how good a job are they doing, and are they going to be concerned with keeping up to date and everything? Nokia, there's the very real risk that this is just people with money letting people with ideas do whatever they want just because the Nokia brand's going to be on it. And regardless of whether or not the ideas are good, all they're concerned about is the fact that those, 5 letters are on the back of the phone. So, I mean, that's a pessimistic view, obviously. But I am not like, they haven't said anything that's, made anyone take them, super seriously yet, I don't think. I want to see the product.
I wonder how different the world would be if Nokia had not hired Stephen Elop.
Ugh.
Is that man? That was a thing.
Yeah, he really Mitt Romney'd that place. We can say that now, right? It's been a while. I think we're good.
I think it's not overtly political, but I think we're probably gonna still get some emails.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you can send an email about it. Subject line: Mitt Romney.
Hashtag Mitt Romney.
All right, so last little bit of other news. Netflix has finally rolled out an update to the app that includes downloading for offline viewing. Of course, it's not everything in their entire library, but everything I've tried that I actually cared to download and watch later worked.
It's very clear who has put the kibosh on this whole downloading thing. It's like everything from Fox and Disney and anything that has to do with the BBC, I think. Those are all not downloadable. So it's pretty funny that some of the Netflix originals, the Marvel stuff, because that's connected to Disney, you can't download that. And so, yeah, like there are a surprising number of movies that are connected to Fox. So that's kind of a bummer. And Netflix does have a lot of Disney stuff now. They have a deal with Disney, but apparently that deal does not include downloading the stuff.
Okay.
You can only stream it.
So barring the potential fact that nobody making these deals or making these demands from like Fox's side, for instance, knows how the tech actually works, what is the rationale of like, we want people to watch our content through your app, Netflix, but not when they're offline?
So I get the rationale for this, and
Why?
I get the monetary rationale. So the idea is, well, if you want to watch this content, there are these services out there whereby we get 70% of the revenue when you decide to purchase or rent the content. And the benefit being that you, the consumer, can keep this content on your device. If it's a rental, it's temporary. Or say if you want to buy a physical copy and you get the ultraviolet copy, obviously they get almost all of that revenue. So I can see why they do this, because it essentially tries to create this artificial firewall that says, if you want the content anytime, you have to pay us specifically for the content. Whereas if you don't want it when you're not going to, and I mean, I understand also that like, yeah, the internet, the penetration of internet access is only increasing. So their argument only gets worse and worse as time goes on. But for now, they're leveraging a position.
That position makes all the sense in the world in a universe where BitTorrent does not exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I thought we'd already proven that like making your content accessible improves things for you business wise.
Yeah.
But
get out of here with your logic.
Anyway, there's an APK available for this now. You can go download it, and you can have offline Netflix for certain shows that are not by Fox or Disney, or certain other groups.
Oh, also there is a setting. If you go into your app settings, you can turn up the quality. The default is like very small and compressed.
I'm sure it's like what, 480p,
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's like an hour, like a 40-something minute long episode of TV. It's like 300 megs.
No. Okay. Yeah. So before we move on to voicemails, we actually do have one more story that was pointed out to us by Francois and Scott. So this week, some serious Cyanogen Inc. drama has been going down, and we first published the news earlier.
Talk about that on the spreadsheet.
Is it?
Right there.
Okay.
It is now.
Wow,
It's
it's
almost
suddenly-
it's almost as
Oh.
if somebody removed it
Yeah.
and then undid that action.
Wow.
Huh.
Fascinating.
Weird.
Anyway, so this week we started hearing that things were going boom boom explodey time at Cyanogen, and it was basically the first big thing that happened was a number of people were laid off again. There aren't that many people left. There were only like 30 to 40 people left when this happened. So they laid off some more people, told the rest of them, you're not necessarily laid off if you want to move to Palo Alto from Seattle. So you can go with us there. They told this to some people, not clear how many, because they are going to shut down the Seattle office at the end of the year, so within the next month, and rebase their operations in Palo Alto, presumably because they want to get bought. I can't really understand any other reason why they would do that. And then it came out, to us that maybe Steve Conda could quit. Well, it sounds like Steve hadn't quit necessarily, as much as he then posted a rant about how he got screwed over, which he kind of did.
We
and
actually
then they fired him.
we call that rage quitting.
Yeah, so he rage quit. But he didn't. I would guess that he posted that knowing that he hadn't quit yet, but that as soon as he did post it, they would fire him. So he made them, make the final call. At least that's what we've heard. And so basically in the post, Steve confirms what many people had long assumed, that Kurt McMaster, formerly CEO and co-founder of the company, was grossly incompetent in his job, and nobody liked what he did. And he said things to the press that people didn't want him to say, like putting bullets through Google's head, etc. That made working there apparently not so great. And it sounds like at this point, they're completely out of the OS business. They have no interest in that. Steve is talking about making a new Cyanogen mod company as a nonprofit, a 501(c).
However, he doesn't own the trademark for
Exactly.
Cyanogen
So they may have to rename if they want to continue in that direction. It's not clear. So we'll see what happens. It was more kind of like he was reaching out to the community to tell me he was super pissed off and also screw Kurt McMaster. Listening suggestions.
I mean, I have no reason to disbelieve anything that he said, just based on what we have heard over the years, like when the OnePlus thing fell apart and the emails from Kurt McMaster leaked, just like the way that all went down, just at that point, I felt pretty pessimistic about that guy being able to, run the company.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard from multiple people that he is totally incompetent and did not understand, really how to try to lead that company into a direction where it would become profitable and sustainable. But anyway, the CEO is now Lior Tal, which was announced last month, 2 months ago now, in October maybe. And so it's not clear what they're going to try to do. I assume they're being positioned to be bought, because there's no way forward for these guys.
I bet that they put him in charge with the understanding that he needed to return some kind of value to the investors, because Cyanogen Inc., they took in like almost $100 million, I think.
Yeah, they took in a lot of money. And apparently, Steve said in his post, they have a lot of cash in the bank. So yeah, I kind of wonder if they've just become radioactive because of this whole ordeal now, though, if anybody's going to be willing to touch them.
Yeah, I mean, what do they really have? Because most of Cyanogen OS was based on Cyanogen Mod, which is open source. They were just like adding extra bits and pieces, a lot of which they licensed from other companies. So like, what do they have that anybody would be interested in?
I think the goal is to pivot into a business that gets at least one customer. And from there, then they can say, we have value, we have talent, we have a customer. And then, it's very, I would say, I I don't think anything good's going to come of this. All the people who actually care about Cyanogen mod, they're going to be gone. If there are any of them even left there at this point. So yeah, the whole thing's just a mess. It's it kind of, I don't want to like, stomp on, people's losing their jobs here.
Yeah, no, I'm sure most people at the company were like very committed to the ideals and they wanted to make good software, but they just didn't have management that let them do that.
Yeah, and I don't think they had a business model ever that would be sustainable. I think they had an idea that Cyanogen OS, we can take that and we can sell it and support it, and hardware vendors will pay us for that privilege. But I think that turned out to be a lot harder than they assumed it would be.
There might be an alternate reality where there are a lot of mid-range and low-end phones that run Cyanogen OS, but that is not the world we live in.
Yeah. And well, I think they were also competing against, the fact that in China you have ODMs who handle firmware. And so, they're real cheap, obviously. So I just don't know if there was ever a competitive market for them to exploit in the first place. Coming as an American company, paying American salaries to workers.
Yeah, and the way they went about it was obviously.
It did not help that their public image was essentially almost universally negative.
When they pretty much just bailed on their first big client, OnePlus, and signed the other deal with Micromax, like that would give a lot of pause about working with them.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem was with their public image was the fact that their CEO put a bullet in the head of their own public image, like within the first week of being founded as a company.
Yeah, that did not help at all. And I will say that I have heard some very, very funny anecdotes about Mr. McMaster in the last year or so, which I cannot share for the privacy of the individuals divulging the information, but they are pretty good.
I'm gonna need you to put all those in the chat room. I need to.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a voicemail this week. If you would like to cue that up, David.
I can go ahead and try to do that, but historically, I don't have a good track record here. So just one moment.
Don't. There's a chance we might have 62 of awkward silence.
Hi, Android Police. This is Jack. I have a 128 gigabyte Pixel XL, and I love the phone, except the persistent issue that I've always had with T-Mobile still occurs, which is that when I'm connected to Wi-Fi, MMS messages just don't come through. You get a message saying that the generally picture refused to download, and kind of have to disconnect from Wi-Fi and download it manually at that point. I don't know if this is just something you have to deal with T-Mobile, or you guys might have some insight. But if you do, I really appreciate it. Thanks again. Really appreciate the show. Bye.
Speaking from personal experience, I can say that this is totally a thing that happens on T-Mobile's network.
Yes, it is. MMS is always super janky.
I've noticed when I was on Verizon for a while, Verizon MMS was also terrible.
Yeah, MMS is just so bad.
It's a bad protocol.
Yeah, I mean, look, the solution to this is a terrible one. Stop using MMS. Use something else.
That's a really bad, not helpful solution. But in all honesty, every time I have to use SMS, I'm reminded, oh God, MMS is really bad. Okay, maybe the best thing to do, and I realize, so the issue is always not that you're sending an MMS, because you're a rational human being, because you called us, and you can use the phone to call into a podcast, so you don't have any problems. You could send somebody a hyperlink to an image. You get it, man. But it's everybody else that is that's how I've always done it with images. Yeah. Suggest to them maybe find an easy way to share photos, God, I don't even know, because a lot of times you're probably dealing with people like iMessage who are probably sending it from an iPhone. And
yeah, I don't know, make them download WhatsApp or Telegram or something.
I'm pretty sure iCloud can generate URLs.
Yeah.
Your pictures are
they don't make it easy.
MMS exists because there used to be phones that didn't have internet access.
Yeah.
That's just not a problem anymore.
Yeah, it's a real bummer. Yeah, I mean, I've always had issues with MMS. I think everybody can vouch that MMS is unfortunately a bad platform.
I'm just gonna throw this out there. I'm guessing that probably a lot of MMSs actually are generated by the fact that it's just a conversation involving multiple people, and that's how T-Mobile handles those.
Yeah. That's possible too.
So it's entirely possible that these aren't pictures at all. They're just conversations with multiple people.
I mean, if it's something like that, you might be able to try a different messaging client. It might work better. But I mean,
usually the failures at the network level, like it's trying to talk to the server and won't get anything back. And yeah, I've had that issue on multiple phones. I definitely feel your issue there and the grief that comes with it.
I'm going to say something. I think this is probably going to be the first time I've ever done this, but I'm going to say something. I think probably the best solution for this particular problem is to have everyone use iMessage.
I mean, but
let's be honest, because in the United States, I'm assuming he's calling from the United States. That's the only third-party messaging client that you can rely on everyone in a conversation being able to use.
Well, but he's got an Android phone.
So do you want to make? Okay, I'm going to make a suggestion that is anathema, but just use Facebook Messenger, man. Everybody in this conversation is using SMS. They got it. They got Facebook.
God.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
it's gross.
Even though I don't have Facebook.
Hey, you know what? Actually, just have everybody download Allo, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
Right? Everybody uses that.
In all honesty, Facebook Messenger is probably your best bet in the U.S. at least, unless you're talking to people out. Well, if you're doing MMS from people outside the U.S., I'd love to see your phone bill. But yeah, I would say Facebook Messenger probably your path of least resistance, statistically speaking, at least. And if not Facebook Messenger, then yeah, great time to introduce everybody to the magic of WhatsApp. Or just keep downloading your MMSs off Wi-Fi.
You could use WeChat.
You could use WeChat too. There's also Line and Telegram. And so many wonderful messaging choices that don't include Allo.
All right, guys. So if you are out there and you have questions you'd like to ask and get super helpful answers like we just gave, you can send them to us at podcast@androidpolice.com. You can also give us a call at 530-HELLO-AP like our caller today did. That is 530-435-5627. You can also find us on Twitter at Android Police and on Google Plus and Facebook.
Okay, thanks for listening, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and stop the broadcast just about now.